in the 1800s, most of the Roman Catholic countries of Europe had expelled the Jesuits, except Belgium. They then fled to Britain and the United States, and they made Britain and the United States their bases of operation to launch what I call in my book the Second 30 Years' War, which began in 1914 and ended in 1945. And they punished all the nations in Europe that had expelled them, had suppressed them, including France. France had expelled them in 1880 and in 1901. Germany had expelled them in 1872 with Bismarck. Spain had expelled them in 1868 and again in 1932. Nation after nation had expelled them. Russia had expelled them in 1820. They remained formally expelled from Russia until Lenin readmitted them in 1922. So they were getting back. It was their Jesuit vengeance during the 1900s with their Second 30 Years' War. What they did was they created the Cold War, and during the Cold War they then established their state, their Zionist state of Israel, controlling what I call the post-Masonic Jewish Zionists, which aided them in their European Holocaust, which aided them in their mass murdering of the Russian Orthodox people throughout the Soviet Empire. And because they were so obedient to the Jesuits, in 1946, the Jesuits removed their statute forbidding any Jews to be in the order, and so now there are many Jews openly and secretly within the Jesuit order.
Well, here's what we're going to do. We got a couple minutes here before the break, and I definitely am going to ask both of you how the Zionists are destroying our country at this present moment. I know Michael has a lot of information about the Zionist lobby. I want to know also from you, Eric, how the Jesuits are working modernly now, what their agenda is, and how, from both of you, I think the American people need to know how these two groups interact. Are there any things in common? Do they have any? Do they work together? And do both of you address both of these groups? We have a minute here. Maybe someone wants to comment on what I just said.
Well, I'd like to ask Eric a question. I gather from having read his book and from reading material by people who are his supporters that he believes that Israel's intelligence service, the Mossad, is working on behalf of the Jesuits.
That's
Is that
correct? That's correct.
Okay, so you do accept the idea that Israel's intelligence service, the Mossad, was involved in the Kennedy assassination?
Yes, I do. In fact, I read your book this last week, and I have decided to put some things that you said in my third edition because I felt that I missed the importance of the JFK war with Israel, that I was somewhat snowed by John Loftus in his work, The Secret War Against the Jews, where he refuses to address that, so that indeed that if Kennedy could have ended the Cold War, that would have ended the Vatican's secret control and help for the nation of Israel to the United States, because the Vatican did not formally recognize Israel until 1993. So yes, I do accept your premise that the Mossad and the CIA work together, but that the Mossad is the tail and that the CIA is the head.
Okay, gentlemen, prepare a couple questions because I'm going to be asking you to ask each other some questions in the next half hour, and I do want to get down to modern day. What's going on with the Zionists? What's going on with the Jesuits? We'll be back in 3 minutes on the Investigative Journal.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
Broken lines, broken strings, broken threads, broken springs, broken idols, broken heads. People sleeping in broken beds. Ain't no use jiving, ain't no use joking.
Okay, back, sitting on that park bench somewhere on a beautiful day with two very educated and very well-read people doing a debate about the real problems of America. Does it get any better than that? I mean, aren't we tired of being lied to, folks, my listeners? And I know, I hear it over and over again. I am. I'm just tired of hearing Washington. I'm tired of hearing all the lies from everybody coming out of our government and out of all these religious organizations. I'm just tired of it. I'm glad we have two people here striving to get at the truth. Maybe I'll just, with a simplistic way, is it the Jesuits? Is it the Jews? I really don't know, but let's kick them both out and decide later. But, let's get some evidence right now. Anyway, on a more serious note, calm me down, Michael and Eric. Here's what I want to ask you guys. Okay, modernly, we have, I'm going to start with Michael, the Zionists. Okay, you're a critic of the Zionist lobby. I know that. You've come out strong against them and criticized for it. How do they interact? How have they taken over our government? How have they interacted with, we all will agree this is a religious war, with the Muslims, with Christians, with the Jews? How do the Zionists fit into this picture, and why do you believe they are the key to knowing who controls the New World Order? Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I think it's by sheer power of economic clout. If you look at the funding of the Zionist lobby in the United States, it comes from the wealthiest Zionist families in America. They have a very effective national network of I should say a network in official Washington of very powerful lobbyists. And in every major city and even in small towns across America, you find very significant groupings of Jewish families who are very much involved in the Zionist movement, who have a lot of economic clout. The Zionist lobby is, beyond any question, the most powerful lobby, and pales in comparison, and I would just go as far as say pales in comparison to any Roman Catholic lobby. I mean, if I've always been told, now maybe this is wrong, but I've always been told that the Roman Catholic Church is against abortion, and yet abortion is legal. You can get an abortion anywhere in this country today. So if the Roman Catholic Church or the Jesuits running the Roman Catholic Church were as powerful as we're told, at least by Mr. Phelps, then I would think that abortion would have been totally outlawed in this country. But abortion is freely available, and that's just the way it is. So, I mean, frankly, I just want to make a comment right now.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I find Mr. Phelps' thesis that the Israeli Mossad and that the Rothschild family and that all the other powerful elements in the Zionist movement that they are shills for the Jesuits to be absolutely, I don't want to be rude, but let me just put it, extraordinary.
Okay, that's fair.
And the only reason, and frankly, the only reason I agreed to this debate was because if I didn't agree to the debate, then my critics would be able to say, well, I ran from the debate. But, I mean, I guess what I'm confused is, let me ask a question, if I could. Maybe it could clarify.
Yeah, that's fine, and then I'll ask the same question.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Phelps a question. Now, in his book and in some of his other writings related to his book, he very specifically, now, at the beginning here, he just backed off on his reliance on John Loftus, who is a Zionist propagandist. Mr. Loftus is not Jewish, but he is a pro-Zionist propagandist. And in his book, Mr. Phelps relied heavily on the writings of John Loftus. Now, Mr. Phelps says in his book that the Jesuits didn't want JFK, that the Jesuits were upset because JFK sent conventional weapons to Israel, and the Jesuits then proceeded to have JFK killed because they considered JFK a good friend of Israel. Now, what I don't understand is, if the Jesuits set up the Zionist state in the first place, why wouldn't they then want JFK to give arms to Israel, or why wouldn't they want the Mossad to, why then would they, or I should say, why then would they have the Mossad kill him? I mean, that's just illogical.
Eric?
Okay. With regard to that point on JFK and Israel, I think I may have been mistaken there, okay? Especially in light of your information that JFK had a war with him. Now, I did use Loftus on several points. For example, Reinhard Gehlen, Knight of Malta, of the Gehlen Org, teaching the Mossad in 1951, training them. So there's a connection there to the Mossad with the CIA, which I bring out in my book.
Well, there's no doubt, there's no doubt about the fact that the CIA and the Mossad worked hand in hand. There's no question of that.
Okay. but if I might finish, the SS continued to exist by way of the CIA. And our whole intelligence agencies were Nazified.